Again, Tottenham losing at home 3-0 to Chelsea. Jason, what happened?
I'm going to start with the positives here. I'm going to start with the positives. Want to keep the positive vibes going as long as I can. I thought Nuno picked a good team. I think that was our best 11 that we had. Our team, I like the fact that Lo Celso was in there, Romero was in there, and Ndombele was in there. I thought we set up very well in the first half. We honestly had Chelsea on their back foot. We pressed well, created a couple of good half chances. Going on to the bad. We did lose 3-0.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad.
The game completely changed when Conte came on. Nuno showed a complete lack of an ability to adjust to Tuchel's adjustments. He tried to do the same tactics. Tuchel made the adjustment at halftime. Nuno didn't. The game was done. And the same old mistakes happened. I literally can't stand it. I can't stand it. We constantly give up goals on set pieces and individual errors. And guess what happened today? 2 goals off of a corner, 1 goal off of an individual error because Højbjerg didn't press down and it deflects off a Dyer. Every time. This football club is going to drive me crazy. These type of results are so frustrating because we played well. We played well for 45 minutes. And it's just the same old mistakes. Same old things that happen that cost us the game. Every single time.
Y'all played well, but the game is it's 90 minutes, right? I think that's what I checked last time I watched a football game.
Yep, it's 90 minutes. And I'm saying there were a lot of positives out of this, but it's so frustrating because there was so much more negatives. And it's the same old mistakes. I'm telling you guys, every single time we give up a stupid penalty, we give up a stupid set-piece goal, this team just loses focus constantly. It's the same players. They make the same dumb mistakes. Eric Dyer, same dumb mistakes every single time. I don't know what to say at this point.
Chelsea's turnover of managers. I think I've given Chelsea enough credit in the past, but like the fact that Chelsea are so good at negotiations, so good at transfers. I know they have money to blow and like they can make those mistakes that they've made in the past with transfers and like paying overpriced transfer stuff like that.
Yep.
But they just do so well, and Tuchel is like an incredible manager. I think that's just what made the difference at halftime was bringing on Conte. He did the same thing with Saul, even though Saul was really bad in his Aston Villa debut. And just making those halftime subs is really, really big. And I think it takes some cojones to actually make those subs because just managers want to let the game play out. They want to let them play for another maybe 15 minutes after halftime. Players who aren't playing as well, but fantastic change. And Tottenham played really well in the first half, but it was just that second half. And I agree with you. A lot of mistakes that can kind of be maybe put on a player or a couple of players and set pieces and stuff like that. So, yeah, fair result for Chelsea, but Chelsea are incredible.
They're so good.
You know, what I have to say really about this is just that Chelsea slapped them into the next match week because after halftime, it was obvious. It was obvious.
After halftime?
After halftime. It was
After like 5 minutes into the second half, you mean? 5 minutes into the second half, I knew we weren't going to get any points out of this game. I knew it. That game was done. I saw it. 5 minutes into the second half, that game was done.
Because Spurs are a shambles, man.
They're
a shambles.
I was gonna say in the first half, I was literally getting ready to say that Tottenham looked really good and Chelsea looked really bad, but that's because Tottenham looked so good in the first half.
I thought that too. Literally, the first 15 minutes in this game, I was thinking, you know what? We might have a real team this year. Like we actually look really good. We're taking it to Chelsea. Like they looked like the team that were middle of the table, like we are. Not us, but then obviously things change very quickly.
But your manager, like the B-Tech Portuguese Mourinho, literally could not adjust to Tuchel's tactics. And look what happened. Y'all got slapped up. It wasn't even like a 1-0 or even a 2-0. This was 3-0, mate.
Yep.
3-0 off of corners, mate. Thiago Silva and Rudiger are scoring goals. If Thiago Silva and Rudiger are scoring the goals for Chelsea, you're going to get lambasted every week.
Yep. No, I mean, I think a fair amount of criticism has to go on the manager. I think Nuno got it wrong last week at Crystal Palace. I think he got it wrong midweek in the Europa Conference League.
Yeah, y'all couldn't beat Stade Rennes.
And I think he got it right in the first 45 minutes of this game, but he just couldn't make adjustments. So I do have serious concerns about Nuno as a manager. I don't know if he's the right manager. For this team, but then again, who else do we hire? We tried to hire 20 different managers this summer, couldn't get one of them. So,
I mean, it's Tottenham, mate. You can't expect too much.
I think
Don't really have much to say to that.
one of the last things that I would say is I think besides the Manchester City game and maybe the Watford game, I think this wasn't. I don't think Tottenham have been playing that differently each week. I think this was the first time I really saw this in the Manchester City game where I really saw Tottenham play really, really well in that first half.
Right.
And we kind of saw the team come together. It was their best 11. I think Steven Bergwijn might get into that team if Dele Alli doesn't play a bit better. And then they play like a 4-3-3 instead of that kind of diamond shape that I think they were playing or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I think they've had consistent either they've had their counterattacks and defended well, and then Wolves played really well, and Chelsea and Crystal Palace obviously, but I don't know. It's looking better. That first half you could pull a lot of positives from. So
yeah, I mean, just speaking on the positives, Højbjerg was all over the pitch. I was amazed with how he played in the first 30 minutes of that game. He was constantly intercepting. That press was working great. Højbjerg was the engine in that midfield. That's what we need out of him. Every single game, that's what we need. And he just doesn't do it. And I don't know. It was a weird formation. The one other thing I did want to talk about is Harry Kane's invisible. We should have sold him this summer. He looks like he's uninterested.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
He looks uninterested. His body language just looks off. He's not fighting for the badge. He doesn't care. He doesn't want to be there anymore. And look, I thought he would put on a show because it is Tottenham. I know he has aspirations of being the Premier League's top goal scorer of all time, so I thought he would put in an effort for that alone. And he just hasn't. He was horrible today. He's been horrible every time I've seen him play. He looks uninterested. His body language is horrible. We should have sold him. I think.
Thank you. Everything I've been saying, ladies and gentlemen, for the past couple of months. Harry Kane should leave the club. There's no point in keeping him. Daniel Levy was holding him hostage from the episode day one. Literally the title of that. What was it, ladies and gentlemen? Harry Kane held hostage. He should have left the club, mate. Now y'all are going to rue it because y'all would have got 125. Y'all would have got maybe 100, 125.
Carlos made the title.
125. Now y'all ain't going to get it. Y'all be lucky to get a packet of crisps, mate.
Oh, please.
Y'all be lucky to get a packet of crisps.
I think it'll be close to 80, 90. But I think also he'll regain some form. And depending on how much form he regains and how many goals he scores will probably have a significant effect on his price tag.
Form? Tottenham are the only form they're in is getting slapped up 3-0 every weekend.
It's tough. Tough 2 games. That's
against Crystal Palace?
I honestly think,
game.
tough game. But I don't think it was too different from.
The one thing I will say, I'm going to go back to this because I do think we're going to look back in a couple months and say that's kind of when the season changed. These 2 games, I get it from Lo Celso, Romero, Davinson Sanchez. They want to go represent their country. They want to be in the World Cup. But they effed us. They effed the club because we didn't get to play them in that Crystal Palace game. Created a bunch of havoc in that team. We had to play Tanganga at center back, which he hasn't played all year. He's been playing as a right back. He gets a red card. It's just, I think those 3 players were going to look back and say, you know what? Them going international, and we told them not to, them having a quarantine for 10 days, that's when the season changed. That's when everything started going awry. Because we had a lot of positives out of the first 3 games. A lot of positives. The team was high. 9 points out of 9 games, haven't given up a goal. And then we come back, and arguably 3 of our most important players are out. And then Bergwijn gets hurt, so he can't play. And then Son gets hurt, so he's hurt. He can't play.
And Nuno sucks.
Was that because they were going from South America to England, or was that just because?
Yeah, so with all 3 the South American players, they were coming from red-listed countries. So the UK has
got you.
Tier list where there's green countries where you could go in and out and you don't have to quarantine at all. There's yellow, which I think you have to quarantine for a shorter period. And then there's red-listed countries, which are considered high risk for COVID. And if you go to one of those countries, upon your return to the UK, you have to quarantine for 10 days. So
okay, I get that. Good, because I was thinking about Arsenal. Arsenal didn't have to quarantine. I don't think anyone, which was lucky.
Does Arsenal even have any internationals at this point?
No, we don't. We just have the African internationals, which is going to be good because AFCON is this year too.
Yep.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, that's exciting.
That's tough for y'all.
But moving on.
Moving on.
Keeping with Tottenham and Chelsea. I completely hold my hands up. I think Chelsea are fantastic this year, and I think they're going to win the title.
That was literally, you took
Incredible.
the words out of my mouth. I was going to ask you guys, what do you think of Chelsea? Do you think they're going to win the title? I got to be honest with you. I think they're miles better than Man City. I think they're a lot better than Manchester City. Having Tottenham played both and having watched them, I think Chelsea's a lot better than City.